What we diagnose as physical or mental illness often begins long before a doctor enters the room. It starts as a construct of the mind. By intensely anticipating suffering, we help build the reality of it. In physics, the observer effect dictates that a particle exists in a wave of multiple possibilities until it is measured. When we apply this to human psychology, fixating on an anomaly forces that wave of potential outcomes to collapse into a single, rigid reality. The body follows the mind's expectations. Max Planck, the founding architect of quantum theory, famously argued that we must regard consciousness as the foundation of reality. He recognized that matter is derivative of consciousness, meaning our focused attention directly shapes the material world. Because consciousness serves as the fundamental fabric of our world, the direction of our attention acts as a structural force. Our vulnerability occurs when we habitually focus on anomalies, collapsing the wave of potential into the reality of disease. To combat this flaw in our internal programming, a systemic response was required. It started as a conceptual framework known as the 7I protocol. The purpose of this sequence is precise: integrate innovation to initially identify the infected and isolate them. This protocol treats infection as a psychological virus, a fragmented thought pattern that spreads through incoherent focus until it achieves the weight of a physical illness. You cannot permanently cure an infection if you do not understand how it replicates. Before we can isolate this psychological virus, we have to map the architecture of the illusion itself. Seeking to map this psychological infection, the creator developed a specific analytical lens. This framework was deeply personal, taking the shape of a conceptual daughter born in the heart, named Maya. In ancient traditions, Maya translates roughly to illusion. Here, it operates as a decoding lens. It allows us to see exactly how pure, objective reality is fractured and distorted by human perception and memory. Looking through this lens exposes the mechanics of our self-destruction. It reveals 7 distinct layers of deception that blind humanity to true coherence. The first layer is the endless search. We condition ourselves to believe that chasing external milestones will yield permanent happiness, guaranteeing a lifetime of unfulfillment. Beneath that is the chain of expectations. The world is in a state of constant motion, yet we demand permanence from it. That friction births our suffering. Next is the illusion of identity. We experience a temporary trauma, and instead of letting it pass, we hard-code it into our psychology as a permanent, broken sense of self. The fourth layer is the mind's interpretation. We abandon objective reality to live inside the chaotic narratives we endlessly replay in our heads. This is where the illusion of illness thrives. The fifth layer is the trap of the spiritual ego. The pride we take in our own awareness simply becomes another false identity we have to defend. Then comes the illusion of knowing. We mistake intellectual concepts for direct experience, building a wall that keeps us from the truth. Finally, the most subtle deception, the illusion of the I, the mistaken belief that there is a separate, fractured seeker who needs to be fixed. When all 7 layers are stripped away, the frantic search quiets down. It becomes clear that our suffering is entirely self-generated by our own incoherent focus. If human perception is this vulnerable, if we so easily infect ourselves with false narratives, how do we prevent the innocent from absorbing these exact same illusions? The solution is an engineered systemic response called samsarics. It is a framework built explicitly to counteract the 7 layers of Maya. To safeguard a child's reality, this framework requires 7 protectors: mother, teacher, father, doctor, employer, peers, and the spiritual teacher. These roles must operate in perfect synchronization. When their frequencies align, they form an impenetrable barrier that repels the psychological infections of the outside world. Building this systemic shield is the only mathematically sound way to break the cycle. It stops the generational transmission of illusion and illness before it can even reach the child. All of this architectural engineering culminates in one final sanctuary, the Prema kiosk. Named after the creator's mother, the Prema kiosk provides an environment of unconditional protection. This sanctuary exists as a state of being, manifested only when coherence is mastered and the 7 protectors are fully activated. By organizing your own awareness and stripping away the layers of Maya, you end the cycle of illness, serving as a shield for the generations to follow.